right, let's see if we can do this correctly. Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown, the unofficial sumo podcast for official sumo fans. This is Ryan.
This is Fleric.
This is Jake.
This is Mac.
Hey, we did it.
Oh, I was third. Okay, good.
Yes.
I wasn't sure.
We did it right.
I'm glad you mentioned
There-
something because I would have totally forgotten about that.
Well,
We all
I
would've
didn't
just
realize
stared at
Ryan
you
was
in
so
silence.
worried about it.
If we make a big deal out of it every time, people will totally know that we prepare and are professionals about remembering what order we are this year.
Don't shatter the illusion, Jake.
Just wondering if we could get it unprompted the first time through, and I'm proud of all of us.
You did prompt us, though.
You did
Yeah, you
prompt us.
actually did.
That was prompted.
Barely.
It felt pretty prompty to me.
Barely.
Okay, what's going on, Sumo?
Well, we are
Hold on there, Fleric. Pump the brakes.
Wait a minute.
All right, we haven't got our hair trigger bullshit.
Yeah.
going on just yet.
And if anybody's wondering what the hell we're talking about, go back and listen to our 2024 predictions episode. That should explain everything for you. But here we are. This is the midway episode of the Hatsu Basho. We have spoilers through day 8. So as always, if you have not watched day 8 yet, pause us, go watch it, come back. Welcome back. All right. We've got a few
In that
new patrons to join in. Well, one new and one welcome back. So welcome back to Axel Barra Vesio. We here at Grand Sumo Breakdown know the true reason that Teruno Fuji had been too injured to compete recently. You're not gonna get this story in the mainstream media. They want to hide this, but it's because Teruno Fuji owed ABV money, and ABV doesn't really take that lightly, and unfortunately had to kneecap Teruno Fuji to get that money back from him.
Ooh.
Real nice Patreon compliment there. Compliment for our friend. That
Yeah,
turns
ABV
we're outing as a
kneecaps
gangster.
Yokozunas.
Oh, God.
Thanks for supporting the show.
Thanks for supporting the show.
And next up, the Mexican food / Wakataka crossover that we've all been waiting for. Thank you for supporting the show, Wakataco.
Taco. Love it.
And continuing our wonderful thanks to all you wonderful people, to Casey Mustang, Benedict Bull, Jackie Coble, Jeffrey Armando, Toku's Bulgy Bits, Warehouse Rat, Max Kimbrough, Jessica Buckland, Paul Simpson, Joe Hobbs, Sumo Nerd. We're the Sumo Nerds here, but okay. Adam, Pandarucci, Chris Laufer, Willie John, okay, Robbie Gardner, Nikki Shans, Rod Lunsford, Stephen Ward, Mosho Geiru, Radish Cat, Vegso, Rob Graham, and Sommer. I'd inscribe all your names on the Yokozuna stone of my heart.
Mac, are we sick or did we wake up 15 minutes ago?
No, there was a very, very intense Dungeons and Dragons session last night. We stormed a Hobgoblin fortress and it was intense. There was a manticore, there were
You know what?
bugbears,
Sumo
there
can
were
wait.
gnolls.
Let's go through your entire D&D campaign real quick.
Okay, well, it all started in the
Also,
northern
my
section.
joke would have
was-
landed better if I remembered that it was Arashi Obeya.
Yeah.
But you know what? You got the joke. I had to look it up because it was going to kill me the whole time if I didn't.
Could have just asked me, Jake.
Well, it doesn't matter. I forgot in the moment. Not like I did already look it up before the show and forgot it, so it wouldn't have
Gotcha.
mattered. Oh well. Next up, Amazumo update real quick. As always, check out sumo411.com for the world's largest collection of sumo event information. Coming up next on the 27th of January, we have the Kuma Sumo Bash. This is the second year they've been doing it. It is the only all-youth amateur tournament in the continental United States, because I think Hawaii has done some in the past. But also coming up on the calendar on the 10th of February in San Antonio, we have the Mighty Eagle Team Tournament. I'm going to be at that one. That's going to be a lot of fun. And the 24th of February, we have the SoCal Open. That's in San Diego. So a lot more coming up. Just released a newsletter, super duper late, but it is out, and it's got a list of the upcoming events in the U.S. So go check that out. GrandSumoBreakdown.wordpress.com has the American Sumo newsletter online anytime you want it. December 2023 issue is now out, summarizing the year that was.
All right, so let's jump into the Hatsu Basho and talk about our Yusho race as we have a four-way tie at the top. We have Sekiwake Kotonowaka, Maegashira 7, Asanoyama, Maegashira 14, Onosho, probably the biggest surprise here, but also Maegashira 15, Ono Sato. So I want to start talking about Kotonowaka because just behind this group of four Rikshi, we've got a pretty strong group of Rikshi at 6 and 2 plus Oho. But we've got Yokozuna, Terano Fuji, Ozeki's Kirishima, and Hoshoryu, and Sekiwake Daisho. And as mentioned, Oho is also sitting at 6 and 2.
And Oho.
And Oho due to rounding error.
Yeah. But Jake, with there being 5 past Yusho winners either in the lead or one off the lead, we have Kotonowaka sitting at 7-1, the lone Sanyaku Rikshi who is tied for the lead. Do you think he's a legit contender to win the Yusho, or is there too much experience around him for him to pull away with this one?
Yeah, I'd say he's absolutely in the running. It would be one of those things that I wouldn't like. I mean, spoilers for later. He's not my favorite to win the Yusho, but I wouldn't be completely blown away if he did. We definitely have had guys like this is like the classic Tamawashi Yusho, or Daisho got one, or Abi even got one. Like,
I don't feel like it's like that. I feel like this would be more Hoshoryu.
You asked me, so I was telling you what I think. Sorry.
Yeah.
But no, I just think that I wouldn't be blown away. I think that he's absolutely in the running, but yes, his toughest competition is still ahead of him, so that's going to be the big thing. But yeah, this is definitely not going to be a one-loss Yusho for anybody. I'm thinking like a 12-3 at best is kind of where I see this one ending up. What do you think, Fleric?
Yeah, I just want to mention he had Jin Yusho last Yusho, so like he's proven he can get pretty dang close to Yusho. So I think
he's
it's looking pretty good.
He's absolutely in the tier of wrestlers that I expect to be in the running here. And yeah, I mean we've been hyping him up for I don't know, probably a year or so now that we've kind of been expecting him to be like one of these next young guys near the top, following guys like Hoshoryu, etc. But yeah, no, I think he's absolutely arriving on the scene here, and I would not be shocked if he did win it.
Yeah. I just wanted to push back a little bit on like the Daisho Tamawashi kind of Yusho, because that's kind of like, oh, that happened. I don't think that'll happen again. With Tamawashi, it did happen again. But for me, if Kotonowaka were to come away with this one, I feel like this would be more like Hoshoryu Yusho, where it's like, okay, this is his crowning achievement up to this point. Let's promote him up to Ozeki, and we expect more from him in the future. Because honestly,
that's totally fair. Yeah.
I feel like Kotonowaka, it's tough because Ono Sato has been literally blowing through everybody at the bottom of the Bansuke. Asanoyama has been very impressive in the mid Bansuke, but Kotonowaka up at the top, I feel like he's been, of the people in the Sanyaku, I think he's been the most impressive. I mean, he has a 7-1 record, and over the past few Basho, this might be too spicy of a take for you guys, I'd take Kotonowaka over Hoshoryu over the past few Bashos, honestly.
No, that is too spicy for me. I disagree.
Yeah.
But I get your point. I agree. I think understanding what you mean by that, yeah, this, if he were to win it, it would be like the first, or it would be like the series or the season finale, and now we're moving on to the next step of Kotonowaka, as opposed to like for Tamawashi, it's like a chapter in the middle of the book that seems drawn from a different book that doesn't really necessarily feel like it belongs there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't had the downswing with Kotonowaka yet of that we kind of had with Daisho. Although Daisho is starting his upswing again, so we'll see how his book story goes.
So what downswing are you expecting?
Well, we just don't know. That's the thing. It's the big thing is just there's so much talent up there. It's like that kind of is the biggest question mark, is staying up on this top of a form to like win the Yusho once is, I can see that happening, but there's so many big names, so much talent up there. It's going to be really, really hard to consistently do this. So we'll see.
Yeah, it could be the case that like he ends up being the next Daisho or Abi or Mitakayumi, other than Mitakayumi's, I guess, Lifetime Achievement Award Ozeki run. But like, he could end up just being like a permanent Sanyaku guy, but he still feels on an upward trajectory, even upward from where he's at right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty high on him.
I think I'm the highest because I'm going to throw one more spicy take. I honestly think Koto Nowaka could be the next Yokozuna. Like, I think before Kirishima, before Hoshoryu, I'm really high on Koto Nowaka. This first week has done nothing
Ryan
but
is
cement that.
Stoned out of his
He
gourd.
is so high right now.
Just one Basho.
It's not one Basho. He's been in the Sanyaku for a year. He's had 2 11-win Bashos over the past 3 Bashos. Like, what's the difference between this run for Koto Nowaka and Hoshoryu, besides the fact we hyped Hoshoryu a lot more than we hyped Koto Nowaka on Hoshoryu's way up?
Yeah. Hoshoryu already got Ozeki, so he had a better record.
I'm saying Koto Nowaka's on that track.
Yeah, he's on that track, but like so far comparing the two, Hoshoryu's had the better record career to date.
I don't see either of those guys slowing down anytime soon, but
yeah.
No.
I disagree with you, Ryan, but I think that we're on the same footing where we're like, these two things are really close. I just think one of them is better than the other right now. Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah, to your point though, it looks like Koto Nowaka did beat Hoshoryu last Basho. So
yeah.
Yes.
And Koto Nowaka's had better records
head-to-head.
than Hoshoryu the past 2 Bashos.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
One put those good records in the correct order. So
Hey, Koto Nowaka's on the verge of doing the same thing.
Yeah,
but
he
like you
hasn't
said,
done it
we still have week 2 to come where he is going to be facing Terunofuji, Kirishima, Hoshoryu. He faces Daisho tomorrow, so he's still got a ways
Plenty to fight.
Last thing I wanted to say on Koto Nowaka yes, Hoshoryu did get Ozeki first. Koto Nowaka, it took him 4 straight winning records at Komusubi to finally get the Sekiwake promotion.
And he had to force his way there with the 11 wins.
Exactly. He forced open a slot because he was a Sekiwake 2. This is the first Basho he's been an actual, Sekiwake 1. I think that's kind of funny.
That's actually pretty badass. I like that.
You know what? Fine. I'll make my own Sekiwake slot with blackjack and hookers.
Let's move on to another one of our co-leaders. That is Maegashira 7 Asanoyama. I had asked on the preview episode, him being at Maegashira 7, does that make him a Yusho contender? I think we all agreed, yeah, probably. And here he is. He is 7-1. Losing his first match to Tamawashi today kind of seemed to me that Asanoyama wasn't the most spry getting up after that match. Seemed to be favoring possible ankle injury or something like that. We'll see in the coming days if that affects him. But Mac, what's more likely to derail Asanoyama's Yusho hope? That potential injured ankle or injured lower body thing, or the stiffer competition that he's sure to face in week 2?
I think it's going to be a combination of both, because the competition is definitely going to be increasing at this point. From this point on, it's going to get harder. But his match with Tamawashi today, it wasn't bad, but he's got a back and forth record with Tamawashi. Now, granted, Tamawashi's not having the best tournament right now, but Tamawashi's still one of those guys that he's been around. He's fought Asanoyama before. He knows how to handle himself in the ring. So Tamawashi, and I think their record was almost 50-50.
It was
I think it was like
before.
Yeah, I thought it was like 9-10, something like that. So going into this match, it should have been a good match, and it was. But for Asanoyama, his competition's going to be getting a lot stiffer, and now with a potential lower body ankle injury, that's just going to start compounding things. So he's going to have to be on his game. I still think he's a contender, but I think it's going to be a combination of both the competition and his injury.
Yeah, believe me or not, if you want to, but like when I was watching today and I saw that Asanoyama had Tamawashi today, I was thinking like, this is going to be his toughest test so far. Tamawashi is ranked a few ranks below him. He's having an okay Basho, sitting at 5-3 now. Well, 4-3 coming into the day. Yeah. Before that match. And I'm like, yeah, I think this is probably the best match so far to see, like, is Asanoyama back, or is he just better than the competition around rank 7? And yeah, to me, faltering against Tamawashi is by no means an indictment that Asanoyama is a scrub or anything like that. But it does mean that he's definitely not in the form he was before his suspension. Because Tamawashi, like you said, veteran, They have a pretty even history going back, and yeah, it was one of the guys that like knows how to beat him and has done so in the past, and is just an all around tough test for anybody.
Absolutely.
So going down to Tamawashi, I think definitely lowers his stock in my mind quite a bit. I would be surprised to see him in the Yusho competition or Yusho contention as we get towards the end. I think losing to Tamawashi means he's probably also likely to lose against anybody in the Sanyaku.
Yeah, and he's been losing against the Sanyaku a lot. Like, I feel like when he's been in the Joy, he's been losing to Hoshoryu. He's been losing to Kirishima.
Sure.
I don't know their exact records, but it feels like more often than not, he's losing to those guys. Let's move on to another co-leader, Maegashira 14, no-show. Fleric, this ain't happening, right?
No.
Okay.
No way.
Much like Ichi Yamamoto
No
last
further
Basho, this ain't happening. And then we got Maegashira.
Well,
15.
I mean, hold on. He's doing great. He is. Can we let's give him like 30 seconds instead of 10.
All right. He has been bulldozing through everybody, including Ono Sato.
Right.
He's got the lone
Yes.
victory over Ono Sato. Can't deny Onosho has been looking very impressive so far this Basho. He's also ranked far below his, not far below because his talent level's mid Maegashira, but he's lower Maegashira and proving that he's at least better than this tier of Aoyama's, Bushozans, and Takarafuji's.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't seem like he's doing anything all that different. It's just working for him more than it usually does.
Yeah.
He's just doing his straightforward sumo that like similar to like a Takakeisho or a Daisho, just all straightforward, all push.
Straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, good job. But yeah, again, this ain't happening.
He lost on day one to Koto Shoho, who is 5-3, and he beat Onosato, who's 7-1. So this kind of throws the rest of it out of here. But here are his other wins: 1-7 Tomokaze, 1-7 Endo, 4-4 Bushozan,
Yeah.
2-6 Miyogiryu, 0-7 Aoyama before he. And that was a Fusen win.
That was a
that was
Fusen.
the Fusen, and then 4-4 Shimatsu Umi. So. You got the Onosato one. You got to give him props for that. But Onosato is also a top division rookie who doesn't even have a full year in Grand Sumo. So.
He has no top knot yet. He is so new. There is no top knot.
Yeah.
I will say, I bet he probably would have beaten Aoyama that day.
Yes.
Probably.
Sorry if that's a
Seeing
hot
as
take.
Aoyama would likely have been on crutches, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
Onosho would have
I
handled
bet
him.
you. I'm just saying, like, yes, it's a Fusen win, but he probably could have taken him that day. Just saying.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's now move to Onosato, who through week one absolutely living up to all the hype. He is sitting at 7-1. He has been absolutely trucking through Rikshi as if they weren't even there. So Mac, what are your first impressions of Onosato after his first week in the top division?
I can sum it up in one word: beast. That's really all I want to say about it. Is like, oh my god, this kid is insane. He's got solid form, solid sumo, coming off the line, keeping a flat base, keeping his arms nice and tight. It's like, holy crap, this guy doesn't give you any inches. Like,
Yeah.
it's great.
I would like to submit calling him Big O, like the anime.
Ooh, but
I like
there's
it.
no,
Can I
there's
submit
no
that
pilot on
nickname to the
inside.
board?
Absolutely. I will rubber stamp that.
Yeah.
thank
Sounds
thank
fun.
you, guy who approves those things.
I assume we're all on the board of approving those things, so I'm just letting you know my vote was yay.
I don't really have anything else to add. It's been
But
fun
he's been
watching,
great. I want to see him continue on. I want to see if he can continue to. He's destroying the lower ranks. Like, all right, let's see how he'll do in the mid rankers.
Oh yeah, his competition's absolutely going to heat up. But like, I'm really enjoying it because so much of our amateur sumo in the U.S., so many of those people got to meet him. I think a few of them might have even got to fight him at the World Games in 2022.
That's awesome.
He's a cool guy. There's a little bit of a personal connection. So that I'm glad that the hype train is continuing to rattle on.
Live up to its expectations.
The big thing I've noticed is like his sumo doesn't look gimmicky at all. It looks like just very
Meat and potatoes.
very straightforward. Like
I'm
he's
very
a big
tall.
guy.
I'm very large. I'm very strong. You will
And
Exactly.
you're out of the ring. Yeah.
Yeah, and he has a technique to to follow up with it too, which has just been super impressive. So
Yeah.
I see the hype. I see the hype. So far, so good. Like, he still has to beat like the top of the top, and like
Sure.
I very much doubt he's going to be able to instantly become like Ozeki and Yusho, because he still has some really big talent up there that's going to be pushing him down.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, like, I'll be very curious just to watch his improvement in getting towards that area.
He's doing everything that's being asked of him at this rank, at this stage of his career. Full speed.
So I will say, like, he's one rank below Onosho, so we still have the same exact schedule talk that we had for Onosho. That applies to Onosato here. So this could mean, this great start could mean Onosato, yeah, he's the next great thing. Or it could also mean, well, he's going to be he's clearly above the lower Maegashira, but what's his height? Is it mid Maegashira like Onosho, or is it higher? We really don't know at this point yet, so we shouldn't get too far ahead of our skis here. Just shows he's better than this level, but we'll see how he does against the next level of competition. Yeah. I assume very well, but we don't know.
Yeah. Maybe he can just, squeak out. Maybe he can pull off just one or two wins of the top guys and like get Yusho out of this. That would be kind of pretty cool.
Yeah. How are we feeling about Onosato's Yusho chances? Here he is. He is sitting
it's a lock, basically,
at the top of the leaderboard halfway through.
If he gets some good luck on the matchups and like where he doesn't get too tough of matchups because they want to make them face off against each other on the last couple of days, maybe we'll find out. He needs a lot of luck, though. He needs a whole lot of luck.
Yeah.
We just saw it with Atami Fuji, though, that just being new does not mean that you're not in the running.
Exactly.
Yeah. Looking at the schedule for day 9, it does look like we're starting to match up our Maegashira Yusho contenders against higher competition. So on day 9, we have Onosato. He's jumping up to face his stiffest competition in Maegashira 9 Meisei, who has a 5-3 record, and I think that's going to kind of be an eliminator before he faces Asanoyama on day 10, is my guess. And Asanoyama and Onosho are going up against each other on day 9. So I think they're trying to whittle down the field of these Maegashira contenders to figure out who they're going to have to start scheduling up against the Sanyaku Rikishi.
They probably are like, which of the guys in the teens will have the honor of facing one Ozeki this tournament?
Yeah.
So like let's narrow it down a little bit and knock a few guys out of the lead.
Yeah.
And now let's move down to our group of Rikishi that are one win behind this group, starting with our Yokozuna, Teruno Fuji. I don't know that he's looked exactly like Teruno Fuji, but he's 6-2. He's good enough to be 6-2, which means he's given up 2 Kinboshis in week 1 on day 2 to Wakamoto Haru, and day 7 to Shodai of all people. And of course, Shodai would defeat Teruno Fuji on day 7 and then come back on day 8 and get absolutely blasted by Abi out of the ring. Of course, that's what Shodai did.
That Shodai actually has a pretty impressive record against Teruno Fuji long term. They're 11-9 in favor of Teruno Fuji.
Okay.
However, Shodai's gotten a Fusen win over Teruno Fuji 3 separate times.
Oh my god!
So in the ring, it's 11-6, and that feels a lot more realistic.
Yeah. Although 6 wins for Shodai against Teruno Fuji's a lot better than the 0 Kirishima and Hoshoryu can boast
there
about.
There you go.
Yeah.
Fair point.
So Jake, Teruno Fuji made it past day 5, but he does have those 2 losses, and he's kind of looked shaky. A lot of frenetic matchups, I would say.
Yes.
So you said, okay, we make it past day 5. Boom, Teruno Fuji's our Yusho winner. After seeing that first week, is that still how you feel?
You know how I feel about making promises, and if I say something, gonna waffle on it. So for me, it's less the 2 losses, and it's more just, I mean, yes, the 2 losses are bad. That's, still in his first week for a Yokozuna. That's his easier competition. So that's certainly worrying. But even if he had won those 2 matches, it's still very obvious that he's not what he was. And I don't think he ever will be. And that's how the linear nature of time works.
Yeah.
But it's still, it's kind of a bummer to see. And I definitely don't feel like he's a lock the way that I thought I would be feeling. Cause I figured if he had a 3rd loss in that first week, he'd be gone by now, probably.
Yeah. Like I'm wondering, he faces Nishikigi tomorrow, like
Ooh.
if he loses to Nishikigi, ends up 6-3, are we still seeing Terunofuji the rest of the way?
Nishikigi,
And I think that's
who
a
is
very
2-3
possible
against Terunofuji. Nishikigi's beat him twice. So
last time they fought, Nishikigi threw Terunofuji to the ground.
Yep, back when he was in his God King mode for whatever reason.
Eater of worlds.
Yeah, there it was. But yeah, no, it sucks. He just doesn't seem nearly as strong as that. He's gotten 6 wins, but there have been fewer of them that feel like dominant Yokozuna sumo.
Yeah.
That Tobizaru one, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He
just have to piss him off, and then he's gonna be good to go.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's probably bad for his long-term health, but like if anybody kicks him in the knee, he will immediately murder them.
or day one against Ura, where he got an Oshidashi ring by standing in the middle of the dojo.
Well,
Which
that was
is
also the one where he
crazy.
twisted his arm all the way like 360 degrees around.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's Ura. He's made out of rubber.
Yeah.
That's how far you got to twist it for it to hurt. But no, I'm definitely not feeling it very much. I do think if he loses tomorrow, yeah, he might be out. But if he takes another 2-3 wins and then gets into the Sekiwake and Ozeki matches, I think he'll probably tough it out, even if he loses a few. Quick fun fact: our listener William reached out and mentioned that Teru is only 3 Yusho away from being top 10 all time. I don't know if that matters in Terunofuji's head, but like
That would be cool, but
I don't necessarily
week,
think it's happening.
I can't see it. Yeah.
But I guess I didn't realize how high up on the all-time list he was. Is kind of where I'm coming from. I think that's he's more legendary than I realized, because he kind of feels like almost, I don't know. I feel like he might end up looking like kind of filler in between Hakuho and whoever's next. But he is absolutely a legend in his own right. Yeah, Big O. or Kota Nowaka, according to Ryan.
Yeah. Hey.
But yeah, either way, I don't feel great about Terunofuji.
Yeah. Anybody else have any differing thoughts on Terunofuji? Because I kind of echo the same thing Jake's been saying. Like, he's there, he's 6-2, but man, it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I'll say maybe just a little bit more hopeful than you guys. Like, he's still like, a beast, and he's still like winning his matches, but I do agree there's a little shakiness there. So we'll see how it's going to go. I think rather than being a lock, it's just kind of maybe a little bit less favored, but still probably favored.
Okay. Let's talk about our Yokozuna hopeful, Kirishima, and he kind of have his Yokozuna promotion on life support at this point, as he's already picked up 2 losses, kind of to similar Rikishi, Midori Fuji and Tobizaru, who's having some issues with those smaller, more nimble guys. Fleric, do you think this Basho ends with Kirishima promoted to Yokozuna?
That would be tough when you frame the question like that. But I would say of all the
I don't like the way you said that.
yeah. I was prepared to come in here and says like, Kirishima is probably my second favorite to win the entire Yusho. With Terunofuji, with all the bad stuff we said, I still think he's the favorite of all the people to pull it out. Kirishima, before his like couple losses, like in the latter half of the week, like he was looking really, really good and really solid. Probably solid of all the Ozeki, and even and we had like the mid Banzuke and low Banzuke guys looking really, really good, but you can never know once you start getting stiff competition, you can't really trust that. So like, honestly, like shakiness wise, like he's probably on par with Terunofuji. If it wasn't for the fact that I favor Terunofuji in the head to head, like I would probably say he's the favorite to win. So I very much think it's very likely. I don't think he's the favorite. So the answer to that question, probably not. I don't think he's going to become Yokozuna because he has to win the thing, right?
Yeah.
And
at this
like
stage,
a June, maybe a 13-2 June Yusho could do it, like if he loses a playoff or something like that. But I don't think a 12-3 June Yusho would do it, because the history that we've seen, it seems like 26 is kind of that magic number if you're not getting back-to-back Yushos, and he'd have 25 over 2 Basho.
I also think that like we saw Terunofuji get promoted on a Jun Yusho, but that's because he went 14-1 with his only loss to the other Yokozuna.
Yeah.
The Dai Yokozuna.
This is
the
not
great.
this is not that situation. If it comes
No.
down to day 15 and Kirishima is the guy going against Terunofuji, even if a 12-3 Yusho is on the line or something like that, getting second place to that doesn't carry the same weight. I'm not going to get that one painted on my wall, the same way if that's what's going on. But yeah, it's real tough. I think even a 12-3 Yusho, if he beats, I don't know, some random guy in a playoff, that I feel like a strong Yusho, and especially getting over that hump of beating Terunofuji is what he really needs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Does anyone disagree with my ranking of Terunofuji probably still the favorite and Kirishima maybe second?
I disagree a little bit, but I wouldn't defend it very hard, I guess.
You guys know how I
there's
feel
just too
about
much-
Koto Nowaka at this point.
Oh, okay.
I would not just
Fair.
Koto Nowaka. It's just the level of competition up at the top is still really tough.
Yeah.
And with Terunofuji, even if like we were saying earlier, and like in the preview episode, he's 85%. Well, this is still good, but it's going down. It's like at this stage, he's dropped 2. We've seen him be a little more shaky, not as polished, not as refined, and his toughest matches are still to come. So I'm not. Yes, does he still have the edge? But not that great. It's not as much of an edge as it was in the beginning of the tournament.
Right. And to me, I think I'd give even odds to Terunofuji, Kirishima, Koto Nowaka, and I think Hoshoryu, approximately even. I don't see one of those 4 being a substantially better pick than the other 3 at this point. That's kind of where I'm thinking.
Let's move on. Talk about Hoshoryu, who is also 6-2. To me, I don't know. I wouldn't put Hoshoryu in that group of 4 that you did, Jake, because he seemed fairly shaky to me so far this Basho. It doesn't seem like he's been getting a whole lot of offense. He's had a lot of impressive throws at the Tawara on defense, but he hasn't been kind of controlling the pace of the match a whole lot this Basho. But it seems like there's a reason for that. Apparently, he has his right knee taped up, and he tweaked it in the week leading up to the Basho and kind of halted his training leading up to the Basho. So there's a reason he hasn't quite seemed like the Hoshoryu that we've seen. He's still 6-2. He's still doing great. I'm just worried when he's done facing these Maegashira and he's going up against Kirishima, Koto Nowaka, Terunofuji, that he's going to be exploited a lot more than these other guys are capable of. So I'm not worried that Hoshoryu is like going to finish with a losing record or anything like that. I just worried that he has a chance to compete for the Yusho this Basho. Just based on what I've seen.
That's fair.
And I think fun to note, he got absolutely embarrassed by Go no Yama in their
That was so
revenge
good.
match on day 5.
You mentioned
Go no
controlling
Yama,
the pace of the matches. Yeah, Go no Yama really put some pace on him in that one.
Yeah, Go no Yama just ran straight into him and didn't stop until Hoshoryu was out of the dojo, and Hoshoryu had nothing to offer in the way of defense.
An otherwise unremarkable match, put in context that, yes, that is the story of the stare down, also now includes Go no Yama was pissed the next time and annihilated him.
Well, and Hoshoryu is going to be even more pissed the next time they meet up. So this has
Good
a
rivalry.
have a good rivalry throughout this year.
Hell yeah.
Until one of them, well, I would say it's going to be a good rivalry until Hoshoryu rattles off like 3-4 consecutive wins. Because I was going to say if till one of them rattles off 3-4 consecutive wins, but if Go no Yama's rattling off those wins against Hoshoryu's going to be pissed and still coming after him.
Yeah, what was who is the guy that Hakuo always had like a little bit extra spite for? Was it Tochiozan?
Tochiozan,
Yes,
thank you. I
Tochiozan.
could picture the face, but I wasn't coming up with the name.
Yeah, there's a lot of the time there's just these specific matches that are a little bit angrier, or specific matchups that are a little bit angrier.
Yeah.
And I like Terunofuji. I wonder if Tobizaru, whatever he did, is going to catch a little bit of ire next time as well.
Yeah. Terunofuji does not like the leading speculation is Terunofuji did not like the leg kick from Tobizaru.
I imagine.
Yeah.
Did I see something that he also like poked him in the eye or something like that? Maybe.
I think it was a slap to the face.
I don't remember that.
Regardless,
There's a slap
Tobizaru
on
was
the Tachi eye.
okay. Yeah,
That's
regardless,
that one.
Tobizaru was getting a little fresh with him, and Terunofuji like immediately went into barbarian berserker
Rage
mode.
mode.
Apparently, like Terunofuji, like when they walk out of the ring after the match, they have like the table set up so you can watch replay of the match and see like what happened. Apparently, like Terunofuji slammed his fists down on that, and like he apologized later for kind of that outburst of emotion and saying like, basically, it sounded like he said, "I shouldn't have spared this much thought for somebody of his rank."
Oh, dang.
I think it's essentially what the quote boiled down to.
He says that, but I
Yeah.
guarantee that Tobizaru is now living in Terunofuji's head for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Another high-ranking Rikishi that is one off the lead is Daisho. So Mac, we've talked about Koto no Waka, Asanoyama, Kirishima, Terunofuji, guys that are favorites for the U-Show. Are we taking Daisho seriously this Basho as a U-Show contender?
It's kind of hard not to because he's got one under his belt. He knows what it takes to win a U-Show. And like we saw in his match against Midori Fuji today, he's got the patience to wait him out. Now, granted, there's a size disparity, and Midori Fuji is a lot more wily and energetic, but he still maintained enough poise to wear him out and then basically just wear down Midori Fuji and have enough ring sense to make that happen. So I think Daisho definitely is a contender for it. But he's not the flashy kind of contender in this case. He's more of a react. Well, okay, when he's not blasting into somebody and mimicking Onosho and Takakeisho and everybody else, he's one of those guys that I'm like, okay, I can see why Flair's like, this guy has potential to be an Ozeki because I think he's got the patience for it. So I definitely think he is a contender at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, he does have a good record against Kirishima. At least kind of quickly looking at the recent head-to-heads in the last 3 Bashos.
And he can put dirt on Terunofuji too.
Yeah. Like he definitely, I could see him going against Terunofuji, but Terunofuji's a big boy. We'll see how his pushing game goes with that. Yeah. But it's I kind of echo a little bit. I definitely think he's in contention, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I am just loving that he's doing so well. It's so good to see. When his like push game is on point, it's just this is great to watch.
I've definitely grown to like him as kind of like a gatekeeper role.
Yeah.
I think that like the always on the cusp of Ozeki, like the way that Mitakeumi was for so long, you kind of need somebody there to like, guard the gates a little bit.
Yeah. I think he's probably the best Oshizumo on the Bansuke right now. I don't know about you guys.
Oh, like you're taking him over Takakeisho?
I don't know. Takakeisho just he does stuff and it works. Like when Daisho does pushing stuff, it looks good.
Wait,
eye test wise, I will take him over Takakeisho. But yeah, it's kind of tough between the two.
I wanted you on record.
Okay.
Because
me on record.
Because I agree with you, but I know you're I like probably bigger Takakeisho guy than I am. But I would agree with you. This past year, I might take Daisho over Takakeisho.
Yeah, I think that he's probably the best guy that has no plan B. Takakeisho's got a plan B. Other really one-dimensional pushers like Abi has a plan B. Onosho might be one of the only other like pure pushers and is clearly not as good as Daisho, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think obviously not a hot take there, I know, but like I you know what? I think I agree.
All right, and we have one more Rikishi at 6-2. It is Oho. He is 6-2. Jake, contender or pretender?
This time, pretender. I still think that he's, he might end up with like, I don't know, 10 or 11 wins, make his way up to the upper Maegashira. I don't know. I still think that he's got potential, but yeah, it's not happening this time.
Yeah, there's too many big names out in front of him.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we do have a group of Rikishi that are 5-3 that are 2 wins behind. We've seen that this pack can come back and win the U-Show. But is this group anybody we need to take seriously? Because we have all Maegashira, Wakamoto Haru, Nishikigi, Meisei, Tamawashi, Takanosho, Koto Shoho. Do we need to worry about any of these guys coming back and winning the U-Show?
Wakamoto Haru, maybe. He's gotten through his toughest matches. Yeah. He got a win on Terunofuji. Probably not, though.
All right, let's talk about another big storyline from the first week, and that's Kyujo, and more Kyujo.
I like how you have that heading in there because
Yeah.
it's true.
So on day 3, we had Takayasu pull out due to lower back injury that's been persistent with him for the past few years, the responsibility of most of his bashos that he's missed in recent years. Takakeisho pulled out due to his neck, the reason he's been pulling out of bashos over the past few years. Day 6, Hokuseiho pulled out due to right knee injury, and this is severe enough that he has a surgery scheduled on February 5th to repair the meniscus in his right knee. That requires 4 weeks of recovery, which would put him done recovering like the week before Haru, and Miyagino Oyakata has already said he's going to be missing the Haru basho as well. So Hokuseiho, where he's at with 2 wins at Maegashira 8, could see him demoted down to Juryo. And I think an 0-15 anywhere in Juryo would knock you down to Makushita. So we might have Hokuseiho either the very bottom of Juryo or the top of Makushita when he comes back in May. So for all you Hokuseiho haters, we're going to be missing out on Hokuseiho for at least until Kyushu. Possibly, if not longer, depending on how quickly it takes him to get back.
I hope you're happy. The most unique wrestler there is now gone from your life.
The one-armed wrestler.
Day 7, the woes for Aoyama came to a head as he fell off the dohyo, and I've heard the words ruptured ACL, but definitely some sort of bad ACL.
I don't like that
injury.
at all.
Him being at the bottom of Maegashira, no wins this basho. He's going to fall pretty low down in Juryo, and if the injury is as bad as it is, he wouldn't be fighting next basho either. Is this the end of Aoyama? Have we seen him wrestle his last match? He's 37 years old.
We have 100%.
Yeah, no,
I was going to make that. I was going to make that assertion before he got injured. This is it. It's a bummer.
Yep.
And
Fleric, Aoyama, he was somebody you were saying on the preview, like, hey, Maegashira 17, he could come back with the magic and possibly win a Yusha.
You never know.
And then he chose him to be your chump.
Then he chose him to be the chump. I was like, wait a minute.
Spoiler alert, you're dominating the champ chump predictions on the back of Aoyama alone.
Yeah, you can see when it came down to put my money where my mouth was, how I thought about Aoyama.
Yeah.
You should have a chance.
Enough.
Okay.
Yeah. I was a super bummer way to go out because I was hoping he can like just kind of hang on and slowly fall down, collect a couple more paychecks. But he did pretty. He had actually a great career looking at this, and
Absolutely.
It's So it's 37. That's a
long
great age.
Time.
Long time. No shame in that.
Yeah, similar to Hokuseiho, one of the most unique wrestlers there is. And that I feel like he's probably bonus episode worthy. When it comes to that, him or Tamawashi or some of these other old timers that have like more remarkable careers like that.
I think we'll do another like lump together, like 3 or 4 retiring guys.
A handful of prominent
if Tochinoshin didn't get his own, there's no way in hell I'm letting Aoyama get his own retirement episode.
Ryan's had like 7 years of hate built up to for this retirement episode. So
he was the first guy that I hated when watching sumo.
The other 3 of us will have to bring that positivity.
Yeah, and it's all because of his physique. Bad first impression. Sorry, Aoyama. Takayasu was not done with going Kyujo.
He came back.
He left on day 3. He came back on day 6, I believe. Fought 2 more matches. Like, I'm done. Lower back again. Plus, he spiked a fever and got diagnosed with the flu. So poor Takayasu.
The sumo gods are like, get out.
Yeah, Takayasu.
Stop.
Every time over the past couple years, Takayasu has touched the Sanyaku ranks. His body just does not stand for it.
It's 400 pounds. Like, that sucks.
Yeah.
And we're probably not done with the Kyujo because Hokuto Fuji looked really
Oh.
bad after his match against Hoshoryu. He took a hard fall from the doyo, but if you look at the replay, he was grimacing in pain before that fall. Looked like something with his previously injured knee. He was in pain. He had to be wheelchaired to the back. So Hokuto Fuji can't imagine that he's coming back to fight on day 10. And if Hokuto Fuji does go Kyujo, this Basho would be tied for the 10th most Fusen losses in a Basho with 6. So it feels like a lot of injuries because this is literally top 10 all time.
Yeah. Yeah, and the runaway number 1 is the COVID Basho, right? Where they were pulling.
Yeah, there's like 16, I think.
Yeah, there you go. Now we're talking. Ugh.
The next closest was a Basho in the 1950s with 10.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to imagine how you reach that number without a worldwide pandemic.
Yeah.
Good point.
I do want to note Atami Fuji, he started off rough, but he started off facing 3 Ozeki and Koto Nowaka, and he was 0-4, but since then, he has gone 4-0. He's fought 3 Maegashira in that time, but he did hand Daisho a loss as well, and he's got Ura tomorrow. So Atami Fuji, he's got his hardest part of the schedule behind him. He doesn't have to face Teruno Fuji at all. So we could very well see Atami Fuji, if he keeps it going, in the Sanyaku ranks next Basho.
Yeah,
because we're gonna be losing Takayasu and Ura. So right now we'd have Wakamoto Haru, and if Atami Fuji gets a winning record, those two replacing them. It would be interesting if Koto Nowaka were promoted to Ozeki, because then we're looking at Maegashira 2, 2-6 Midori Fuji, 2-6 Abi, 2-6 Gonoyama at Maegashira 3. Hokuto Fuji's 4-4, but we think he is out. So the next candidates that we'd be looking at, the next one with a winning record is Nishikigi at Maegashira 5.
Yeesh.
So if we end up with like 3 openings in the Sanyaku, it'd be interesting to see who ends up being that third.
14-1 Ono Sato is a contender for that slot for sure.
I like it. I like that a lot. Anybody else you guys want to note before we move on?
I had one, and it's Tobizaru. It's like I go back and forth between loving and hating this guy. I love his wiliness, but then he does other things, and it's like, God, you asshole! Like I don't want to like you, but he's so dynamic for me. I mean, with the kick against Teruno Fuji, it was like, what are you doing? But then you watch a couple of his other matches, I'm like, oh, he goes for the leg sweep. We've seen that before. It's just normally a lot lower. Doesn't aim for the actual knee itself. I'm like, why was this one so high? You jerk! I hate you now. I both love him and hate him at the same time. He's not doing terrible, but like I think this is becoming a Koto Yuki kind of thing. If I thought of you, Jake, when I was watching this, I'm like, that rat bastard's like that monkey bastard. I'm like, well, wait, that doesn't quite have the same ring.
Oh man,
I think the thing I like about him most is he sneakily has been staying up in the joy like, this past year or so.
Yeah.
So he's quite good. He's definitely like a tier
Komosubi
below.
3 times.
Yeah, like he's a very, very talented Rikishi.
and the flying monkey, like that Shikona, is like top 10 for me for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Only top 10?
Okay, top 5 probably.
Yeah. So like he's definitely been growing on me. He's great. I love to see him.
Yeah, it's always fun to have those guys that are just like, whenever his match comes on, it's always there's like a little bit of extra. Oh, I should definitely. This one's going to be fun. I'll definitely be giving it my full attention, not doing anything else while I'm watching this match, kind of thing.
Where Ura brings
was the other one I was
joy,
going to say.
and you're like, but you always root for Ura, no matter who he's facing. It's like you want to see Ura, whether he wins or loses. It's like, yes, I want to see this. With Tobizaru, it's like, I don't know how to feel about you yet.
Yeah, I got a couple quick hits. Yeah, Ura and Tobizaru, I was just going to mention, are like just extra entertaining this Basho. Win or lose, they want to put on a show. Also, Hiradoumi has grown on me quite a bit. He is super fierce. Let's see which day. Day 4. My notes are just, Jesus, chill, Hiradoumi. That was his win over Tamawashi. Shimazumi, I'm kind of liking him so far. He seems like Shonan Naomi with the wrong aspect ratio. They're like the tallest and shortest guys, but they look almost identical proportionately.
Wait.
It's really weird looking. And Tomokaze is the other one. I feel real bad watching him struggle because he's a guy that came up during like our podcast. So like watching him come up the Bansuke the first time was, really endeared him to all of us, I think. So yeah, watching him struggle the first time we see him back in the top division sucks. But yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, I will just highlight Midori Fuji. Like he's kind of in my head actually cemented himself a little bit above Enho at this point. It's
oh yeah,
I think he's proven to be a little bit more of a real deal, and his style is kind of working out a little bit more than Enho's ever did. So it's and like he got some like who did he take off?
He took Kirishima.
Kirishima down.
That's
That's what I thought. He's like causing some spoilers. He's had some exciting matches. You can't count him out until right till the end. So I've been enjoying him this Basho.
Yeah, he's like Enho if Enho was also good at regular sumo.
Yeah. I've got two. One is Abi, who is 2-6, but I feel bad for him this time because he's obviously going to be wrestling with a heavy heart after the passing of his Oyakata.
Oh yeah.
So I just got to imagine that's got to be tough for him coming out this Basho. But 2-6 record for Abi, which is quite a bit below the pace we expect for him when he's sitting in this range of the Bansuke. And the other one, I'm kind of on like Itai watch since we did like our predictions a week ago and we predicted how many Rikishi we're going to retire. Endo sitting at 1-7. He's not offering anything really this Basho. He's Maegashira 13. And I'm thinking this is a guy who's basically known nothing but the top division. Is he a guy that's going to want to slum it around down in Juryo if he makes it down there for more than a Basho or two? So I've kind of got my eye on Endo. He's been around for 10 years in the top division. And so he's 33 years old. That's a lot of wear and tear on the body. So he's just somebody that I'm curious about if he goes down to Juryo, which the pace he's on, he will be this Basho. How long does he stick around?
Yeah, and it looks like, according to Sumo DB, he has an elder stock already.
He does,
the Takayuki. So it's like, it's one of those things like, he doesn't have to stick it out for like anything other than to like he has like a career after Sumo already set for him. So like it's like, do I really want to keep on doing this for such keep losing all these matches? So we'll see. Yeah. I'm kind of with you. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen with this guy.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, Ryan, to emphasize how he's only known the top division, he got the Makushita Tsukedashi. So he started at Makushita 10, went 5-2, Makushita 3, 5-2. Then he spent one Basho in Juryo. He went 14-1, got the Yusho.
Jeez.
And since then, he dipped down only one time, and it was due to injury, and he immediately made his way back to the top division. So within a year of his Makushita Tsukedashi debut, within 1 year, he was Maegashira 1. And since then, he dropped down to Juryo for one Basho and has been pretty much upper single digits almost the entire time since.
Out of 65 career Basho, 61 of them have been in the top division.
Jeez.
Yeah, there you go. And I bet you if we did, it would be a similarly ridiculous proportion that are above Maegashira 5 or 6 or something like that.
Yeah. I did look up Aoyama. I know he got Japanese citizenship a couple of years ago, so it sounds like he might be wanting to stick in the JSA, but it does not look like he has a Kabu to his name yet. So I'm wondering if he just kind of sticks around and waits on announcing his retirement until he gets that secured. And then once he has that secured, then he retires. So he might drop down the Bansuke for a while, just waiting on something to free up or be able to purchase something.
Sure.
At least until he's not paid anymore.
Let's move on to lower division stuff. And Jake had mentioned Endo sticking around in Juryo for one Basho after a 14-1 record. Takeru Fuji is Mac already used the word for Ono Sato. I had it written down in my notes for Takeru Fuji. He's a beast. The dude is 8-0. None of his matches have lasted longer than 5 seconds. Basically what Ono Sato's Basically exactly what Ono Sato's doing in the top division, just running into fools and immediately knocking them backwards and out. That's exactly what Takeru Fuji is doing down at Juryo. Like, no competition down there. I'm not saying he's going to go like 15-0, 14-1. He's still got plenty of time to face guys at the top of Juryo. I'm going to say like Daiamami and Mitoryu, not that they're overly impressive, but they're very big. So it might be more difficult to just run into them and immediately blast them out. But he's going to start facing more highly skilled Rikishi. So we'll see how he does. But Takeru Fuji's looking every bit the real deal, same as Hakuoho and Ono Sato did when they came up. He just doesn't have the Makushita Tsukidashi to his name.
Right. Yeah, I was just going to bring that up because he started at the very bottom and had to work his way up. And by work his way up, I mean he has a career record of 51-6.
Jeez.
A couple 7-0s and 6-1s in the lower division, and he has yet to lose as a Sekitori. I think he's absolutely on the same level of prospect as some of these other guys, but less hype because he had to start at the bottom as opposed to getting the head start.
Yeah, he was a university Rikishi. He's 24 years old. And so he probably had to compete with like Ono Sato and Hakuoho. And so that's why he didn't win some of those amateur Yokozuna stuff. But yeah, if he does continue on this pace and say he does get like 14-1, possibly 13-2, and he is able to get a promotion to the top division after one Basho and Juryo, I'm pretty sure that would tie him with Jokoryu for the fastest rise to the top division while starting from the bottom.
Nice.
And then also down in Makushita, check in on Wakataka Kage and Hakuoho. Wakataka Kage 4-0 at Makushita 1. He's already punched his ticket back to Juryo, but you know he's going to be fighting for that Makushita Yusho. And Hakuoho did pick up a loss. He lost to Ono Katsu, who is the last Rikishi that will ever receive a Makushita 15 Tsukedashi. He debuted last Basho in Makushita. So he's 3-1. I would think 3 more wins should guarantee Hakuoho Juryo next Basho, but he needs the right people to fall out from he needs enough people to fall out from Juryo to make sure there's room for him. So with that, let's take a quick break and we'll be back to update the GSB belt, Champ Chumps, and we'll do our lightning round.
If you enjoy the Grand Sumo Breakdown podcast, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast listening service.
You can find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search for Grand Sumo Breakdown.
Support the show on Patreon and check out our blog, grandsumobreakdown.wordpress.com.
If you have any questions, comments, or corrections, drop us a line at grandsumobreakdown@gmail.com or give us a call at 805-613-7866. That's 805-613-SUMO.
Also, watch us on YouTube.
Welcome back. We're going to start off our second half. That's less than a half second. Our final third
Quarter?
It usually ends up as like
the fourth quarter.
The fourth quarter.
Okay. Yeah, we take halftime after the third quarter.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with the GSB belt. Covered it a little bit. We try to give an overview of this in our preview episodes, but yeah, you got to beat the man to be the man, and the belt travels up the rankings, and we're getting there. We're getting real close. We just got the belt up into the top division last time around because Koto Shoho won it while also being promoted from Juryo to Makuuchi. Then he immediately lost it to Ono Sato, and I was like, dang, Ono Sato's going to carry it and go 15-0 because of course he is, right?
But
he lost it to Onosho, who won like 7 straight matches. So yeah, it's at Maegashira 14 West on Onosho, but Onosho faces Asanoyama tomorrow. So Asanoyama will have the belt tomorrow, which means that
already predicting that one, huh?
I don't feel that. I don't feel that is a crazy opinion. But that would be a 7 rank bump, and if Asanoyama can continue to perform, that belt's only going to go up from there. So that'd be pretty cool. Or
Asanoyama's going to lose on day 10 to Ono Sato.
I was going to say Ono Sato
dispatches Meisei.
And Ono Sato will carry it to that 14-1, get promoted straight to Sekiwake. Yeah, no, this works out.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, we're in the home stretch of this belt. So if anybody I know there's a couple guys on Twitter that follow this one, but if you got any
Not since
suggestions?
it made it to Jurio.
Oh yeah, because it's not interesting anymore.
They only cared when it was in Makushita for 2 years.
Perpetually stuck.
If there is any other way or any other tweaks we should make for the third belt, now is probably the time to start thinking about it. Because it's on its way. This belt will be retired as soon as it hits the rank of Yokozuna, or something else happens that causes us to decide that it's over.
Yeah.
There is no Yokozuna anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
It hits Ozeki. We're done.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, that's all we got. We'll check in at the recap as well.
Yep. So we got a bit of an update for our champ chump. As we mentioned before, Aoyama was Flaric's chump, but Aoyama pulled out on day 7, so Flaric needed to choose somebody, and Flaric could choose whoever he wanted, because the rules for choosing a new chump, you cannot choose a chump that has more losses than your chump currently had. Aoyama had more losses than anybody in the top division, so Flaric could choose anybody, and he chose Endo to replace Aoyama.
Excellent work, sir.
Yes, well done.
Absolutely top-tier choice. So much like in our patron Champ Chump League, the person who chose Aoyama is winning, and that was Flaric. Flaric's chump score is 10, and the next closest is 6. And all of our champ scores are either 7 or 6. So that's what's deciding it right now. Flaric, how are you feeling? You're up 3 points at the halfway mark.
It's feeling pretty good, but like it's all the points you get towards the end for winning Yusho is bullshit. So I'm definitely
we nerfed that. We nerfed it pretty
it's
hard.
Not as
nerfed.
big.
It's nerfed, but still definitely where all the points come from. I'm feeling good about my chump stuff going on, but Terunofuji has to pull it out for me to really, really feel good.
Yeah,
we're all kind of bunched around after that with Ryan and Mac tied at the lowest. But yeah, it's Flaric's running away with the win so far. But yeah, there's still going to be a solid fight for loser.
If Koto Nawaka does what I want and wins the Yusho, there could be a big final day for me with a couple of special prizes and Yusho bonuses.
Oh yeah, because he is still
pretty
eligible
much
for prizes.
betting I've lost this one at this point. I'm like,
I hope so. I hope so. It's been too long since Mac.
Don't worry.
I've had a year off.
What's our punishment this time around again?
Movie
scene.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our lightning round. Mac, who has impressed you the most so far?
Jake mentioned him earlier, Shimazu Umi. I'm like, all right, not bad. 4-4 at this stage in the game. Right on, man. Keep going.
Flaric, how about you?
Ono Sato, for all the reasons we talked about, he is seemingly to be who we thought we were hoping he was. He looks great.
Yeah. Jake?
Ono Sato. Yep, enough said.
Yeah, Big O. Who has disappointed you the most so far, Flaric?
Yeah. I was not thinking of this one yet. Come back to me.
Jake.
Takayasu. I kind of wanted him to do well in the Sanyaku again, at least one last time.
For me, Shonan Naomi sitting at 1-7. We didn't bring him up at all, but very futile this Basho for a guy that had been
no obvious reason for it, really.
Yeah, he'd been right at the Kachikoshi line the past couple Basho at about the same rank, so kind of weird seeing him at 1-7. Mac, how about you?
Oyama, just because I wanted him to have a little more fight instead of just falling the way he did. I just wanted one more flash, and I didn't get it.
Yeah. All right, Flaric, who's disappointed you the most?
Takakeisho. I'm sad that his neck injury. It's always a more exciting Basho when he's in it, so I'm sad.
Favorite match of the Basho so far, Jake?
Probably Kirishima Hokuto Fuji. Just a wild one. Not one that I expected to blow me away, but it did.
And plus, it had the benefit of the Gyoji falling down.
Always a plus. That's always points.
I'm wondering because
lightning round, Ryan.
All right,
lightning round.
My favorite match. It's called.
No, what's your point? Okay.
Well, the Gyoji took so long and so much care to get I don't know the proper term, so I'm going to call him his hat and his shoes. But yeah, like putting his hat on, making sure it was right, getting the shoes on, like before he would step in the dojo, like he's looking down at his hat while there's a match happening right in front of him.
They're in a clinch.
So I'm wondering, like, is there like tradition that must be followed, like for the Gyoji to step in the dohyo? Does he need to have the hat and the shoes on? Does he need all the proper attire in order to step foot in the dohyo?
Like at the expense of judging the match properly?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
I
I will
back
say,
and rewatch. I didn't notice that part.
the head Gyoji, I forget his new proper title, like
Tate Gyoji?
the Tate Gyoji, but like is he Kimura Shinosuke now? Is that his new? Or is he
They're all
Inosuke?
Kimura. I don't know.
They're all
You're right.
Kimura.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a silly
that sounds
system.
But yeah, like when the Gyoji went down, they always have like extra Gyoji at the side, and he like stood up. He was ready
yeah,
to go.
he was ready.
But then the other guy stood up and then took 30 seconds to dust his hat off before he got back in the dohyo. My favorite match so far, I'm going to go with Hoshoryu versus Ura. It's one of those matches where Hoshoryu had just an impossible throw from the Tawara. That didn't seem like, how did he have that much strength to throw Ura from the position he was in? But then also Ura had the look on his face is, how did he throw me when I was in that position? Like Ura was just an absolute shock. So it was a great throw from Hoshoryu and a great reaction from Ura.
Ura has the best spaces. It's great.
Yes,
always.
yes, he does.
What about you, Mac?
Kirishima versus Hokuto Fuji. Great match.
Yep. And Fleric.
I thoroughly enjoyed Teruno Fuji versus Flying Monkey Tobizaru. Watching the Teruno Fuji just kind of wake up and just kind of say, "Oh no, I know he didn't," and just destroy him was
You're
fantastic.
dead.
Yeah.
Can I share one more just for the sake of my heart?
Lightning round. Okay.
I'm really worried about Takayasu, but I got one more awesome memory of him kicking ass in a match when he just absolutely slammed Ura on his face.
Oh
Yeah.
That was a good one. I'm glad Ura got up okay, because otherwise it wouldn't have been so fun. But the fact that he was okay, love that
that was
one.
good.
Yeah. And then another shout out to our patron on the Discord, the Cow Puncher, for providing clips for all of the different matches that people mentioned for Match of the Day. It just makes it so much easier for us to go back and review these. I was very easily able to go back this morning, take a look at all those clips, and figure out which one I like the most. So the Cow Puncher, thank you very much for doing that. Most exciting potential matchup. I mean, for me, it's got to be the potential of Teruno Fuji versus Kirishima Day 15 was something very important on the line. They both got to kind of make it through the rest of the week unscathed to get to that point where something very big could be on the line, but there's still the potential for it, and that's the most exciting potential there is. Mac.
Kota no Waka at all. I'm like, all right, can you make the Ozeki? Let's see if you can do it. Now's the time.
Fleric.
I'll echo what you said with Kirishima Teruno Fuji. That'll be great. But I'll also with the spice of Haku Oho facing someone up on the top Batsuke would be not Haku Oho. Onosato.
Onosato.
Yeah, Big O.
Yeah, Big O.
You mentioned Kota no Waka et al. I'm going to say Teruno Fuji et al. Because the other three guys that I think are in the running right now, Kirishima, Hoshoryu, Kota no Waka, they combine for like a couple dozen and 0 against Teruno Fuji, or other way around. 0 wins and a couple dozen losses combined. None of those three have ever beaten Teruno Fuji, and I think if any of them can, they would probably jet up into the winning the Yusho.
All right, Mac, who is going to win it?
No freaking clue. If I had to pick at this point, it would be Teruno Fuji, but no freaking clue.
It's nice having this Basho where like we have no freaking clue, but it's because so many people at the top are strong Rikshi.
Exactly.
All have the potential to do it, and not like a bunch of Maiga Shira. Which one's going to hold on?
Yeah, it's good chaos instead of bad chaos.
Yeah. Fleric, who's going to win?
Teruno Fuji.
Jake?
I'll stick with my word from the preview. Teruno Fuji. He's here on day 5. He's still got to be the favorite.
I think I've seen enough from Teruno Fuji to make me comfortable, and I've talked enough hype about Kota no Waka this Basho that I'm going to make it a reality. Let's go Kota no Waka. Win your first Yusho.
All
Get
right.
promoted to Ozeki. Let's make it happen.
You just want that to happen for your prediction series.
That would
It could be
also be
both.
nice, but
It could be both.
it could be two things. Yeah. And I do want to answer one of our Patreon questions, just kind of not get it out of the way, but start clearing off the list of questions
We've had
we
a
have
few
from our
build-up,
patrons.
yeah.
There will be a bonus episode dedicated to this.
Eventually,
I
yeah.
think. Eventually.
Yeah, eventually. So Martha M, she had asked us, has there ever been a mono-e at a Jungyo match? Jungyo, for anybody who might not know, is the regional tours they do between Bashos. They stop at smaller cities throughout Japan and just kind of do like some practice and then exhibition sumo matches. So she says, as at the Basho, Shimpan sit doyo side, but Jungyo matches are really for exhibition. So why are the Shimpan there? Is it just for show? Do the Oyakatas need something to do during the day? Or have there been instances where they have intervened with a mono-e? I don't have any conclusive evidence for anything that I'm about to say.
We don't have like tape of every Jungyo.
Yeah, and Sumo DB isn't updated with all the Jungyo results. But I can't imagine there's been a mono-e during a Jungyo. Maybe accidentally it was really close, but I can't imagine they, even if that was the case, that they'd raise their hand and do all that for Jungyo. Having watched some footage of Jungyo matches, the Rixi are going like 20% strength, if that. And the matches seem fairly scripted overall. The hometown guy, it's like WWE, the hometown guy always wins. So yeah, I can't imagine that they've really called a mono-e. As for why the Shimpan are there, I think they're just making a show of it for the regional tour, make it seem as close to an actual day at the Basho as possible. So you got the Gyoji, you've got the Shimpan, just kind of make it as real as possible for the people that have come to visit and see some sumo.
Yeah. Yeah, like for me, I would still geek out about it if I was sitting near one of the, like somebody who's a coach now that I watched wrestle when I was a kid or something like that. Even if the Shimpan isn't really like on the clock officially or super hardcore, it's still cool to see the legends sitting around the ring and such. It's probably just,
yeah.
I think you nailed it when you said Jungyo matches are really for exhibition. It's for showing off the sumo as opposed to going 100%. Try to kill each other sumo.
Yeah. If you want to see the real sumo, that's like the practice that they're going to do before the exhibition matches. The exhibition matches is 100% exhibition, like you said. So yeah, I don't have any concrete answers. If anybody does have concrete answers and we're wrong, feel free to correct us. Would love to update that with more informed information. That's just best guess that I can come up with, or that we can come up with. But with that is going to wrap up our Hatsu Midway episode. You guys got any other thoughts going into the second week?
Nope.
Let's
I
see
think
what
we covered it.
happens.
Yeah, Ono Sato 14-1. I say after picking a different guy.
Hey, as you stated earlier, Jake, you're allowed to waffle. You're allowed to waffle a little bit.
You guys
I
are
thought
the
yours
boss
are
of me. I didn't
tasty.
sign anything legal.
You said
here.
on the preview your New Year's resolution was to be at least consistent throughout an episode.
Yeah.
Rome wasn't built in
This
a day,
episode's
Ryan.
over. Get me
And that
out.
episode I wasn't
Episode's
consistent during
over.
either. So
All right. Thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown. Until next time, throw your salt high and keep moving forward.